Hello everybody, it's Cara from Wild Book Garden, and today I am here with a kind of multi-announcement update video. I never know what to call these kinds of things, but basically I'm going to be announcing our next round of Past It Classics picks, and I'm also going to be announcing some exciting things that I am co-hosting or that I am a guest on. So let's get right into it. I'll also put timestamps down below in case only one part of this applies to you or that you're interested in. The first thing I wanted to mention is that we are currently on a break from our Frances Hardinge read-along that is co-hosted with me and my lovely friend Hannah from Lit Hermione, and we're currently on break for that. We don't know exactly how long it'll be, but it'll be at least 3 months, and we talked about this in our announcements. Like, we knew that this was going to be coming, partly for schedule reasons, but also partly because the release date of Unraveler by Frances Hardinge, which was supposed to come out last year, got pushed back a whole year, so we would have needed to delay anyway. So just keep an eye on mine and Hannah's social medias to see updates and to see when we will be starting up again. But this is a perfect time if you've been meaning to catch up, like if you missed a few live shows along the way, to pick up the books that you missed, or if you've been reading along with us the whole way, just chill out, you know, read some other things and get ready to be back here for the Frances Hardinge excitement. And that'll be again in at least 3 months, 3 months starting in, was it March? I think March. So that'll be at least 3 months, but it might be longer. And then also I'm very excited to announce I'm going to be a guest on a couple of read-alongs. The first one is for the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany is hosting this along with some other wonderful guests. I will link the info for all of these down below. And our first one that we're reading is obviously book 1, which is Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. I think that at the time that this video is going up, I believe our live show is this week. The first live show is March 18th on Friday, and that is at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, I'm really excited. I only have a little bit left, so I'm excited to share my thoughts with everybody. And I'm very excited to be a part of that whole like series read along. I'm just mentioning like the first date that we have set, but obviously we will be reading the whole trilogy. And then I'm also very excited to say that I'm going to be a guest as part of the Brontëlong, which is co-hosted by Mary from Mary Among Stories and some other wonderful people and guests. Again, all information will be linked. And I'm going to be a guest on a few different live shows. The first one will be for Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, which I have never read, but I'm very excited to. That is going to be on April 2nd, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, depending on your time zone, that time may be different. But yeah, I'm very excited. Again, I haven't read this one before, but I really enjoyed The Tenant of Wildfell Hall. And I'm also going to be a guest for the live show for The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, and also for Wuthering Heights. So I don't have exact dates for that, but I will link the announcement where Mary talks about what months we're reading what books. But yeah, I'm very excited to like reread or read some of these. And then the last thing I'm going to go over is our next round of Past It Classics picks, which is a book club co-hosted by myself and Taylor from Page Screen Taylor and Julia from Shakespeare and Such. We have such a blast doing this and, you know, hanging out and talking about classics. And this is for our next round of picks. So for March, which is obviously this month, we are reading 2 different plays. One of them is A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry, which I have never read, but I have heard like only incredible things about, so I'm very excited. And then we're also reading this is kind of viewed as a sequel, which is Clybourne Park by Bruce Norris. I have not read this play, but I did see it performed. And then just going down the list here, in April, Taylor is hosting our discussion for North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, which I am so excited for. I just read this book for the first time in 2021, so just last year, but I loved it and I'm already excited to read it again, so I can't wait. Yeah, I love this story so much, like the writing and the themes and like the character development and the romance. It's all so good, so I'm very excited for that. Then in May, I am hosting a discussion for The Nobility and Excellence of Women and the Defects and Vices of Men by Lucrezia Marinella. This is edited and translated by Anne Dunhill, and this is a nonfiction book from what century? From what year in Italy? Oh, it was published in 1600, originally in Italian, and it is an important feminist work, and I believe it is the first time that an Italian woman argued with a man in print, because basically there was a text published that was, it was basically the reverse of this. It was talking about like how awful women are and how men are inherently better, and then Lucrezia Marinella was like, I don't think so, and she like published her own like challenge to that, which I love. So other than that, I don't know a ton about this, but I'm very excited to read it. So I will be hosting that discussion. Also very excited to read like a classic nonfiction that is from so long ago. I think that's going to be really interesting. Then in June, Julia is hosting a discussion of Heidi by Johanna Spyri, which I love these editions, these little penguin is it Penguin in Bloom, I think? But it has been a really long time since I read Heidi, and I've been thinking I want to reread it, especially after reading Steeped in Stories by Macaulay Perkins, which I loved, and one of the books that she talks about is Heidi, so I'm really looking forward to returning to this one, and I think it's just going to be really lovely. I think this is going to be a really nice and like a cozy one, so very excited for that. I'm realizing actually quite a few of these are rereads for me, which is very interesting. Then in July, Taylor is hosting a discussion of Dante's Inferno, which I have never read. I know. I actually have an edition here that is the entire Divine Comedy by Dante Aligheri, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure I've seen like excerpts from these works because it's hard not to, and we're only reading and discussing the Inferno part of this work. So yeah, that'll be very interesting. By the way, I will put all of this information in the description in a list format as well, so you don't have to just like remember from me talking in the video. And then in September, Julia is hosting a discussion of Orlando by Virginia Woolf. I don't think I've read anything by Virginia Woolf actually. Maybe I've read like a couple essays from her in other classes, but I've never read any fiction by her. And this is known as, I think one of the first, I think it's like an early example of a trans main character. And I've heard very interesting things about her writing style, Virginia Woolf's writing style, so yeah, we'll see how that goes, but I'm excited to finally read like some fiction by her. Then in October, Taylor is hosting a discussion of Women, Race, and Class by Angela Y. Davis, like the Angela Davis, and I'm really glad she picked this one. I have read about Angela Davis in other things, but I've never read one of the things she's written herself, which I definitely want to remedy. And this is just considered a really foundational text in intersectional feminism, and I'm really glad that we're reading this one. So I can't wait for that. I'm just like really excited about all of these guys. Like we're always super excited about our lineup, so that's why you get so much enthusiasm. Then in November, I am hosting a discussion of The Pale Lady by Alexandre Dumas. When I found out Alexandre Dumas wrote a vampire story, I was too curious. I had to pick it. We really did not like Three Musketeers, any of us, when we read that for Past It Classics, but then I did read The Count of Monte Cristo outside of the book club and really enjoyed it. So I'm curious to see how this one goes. It's a novella, so it's very short. And yeah, it just sounds really interesting. It's like a vampire story, and I think the female character might be the vampire, and I believe there may or may not be a love triangle involving two brothers liking the same woman, which I know Julia will be a fan of. I just think that story sounds really interesting, and I'm really hoping I enjoy it. And then finally, the last one that we're announcing is this kind of round of selections is in December. Julia is hosting the discussion for The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, which is a classic I have read a couple of times before, and I think it's a couple, and I really enjoy. Like I basically love like all iterations of this story. Like I love the musical, I like the original novel. I am one of the people who actually enjoys the 2004 movie. I did a whole video talking about movies that I love that everyone else hates. But I just think this story just really captures my imagination. And I'm really interested to return to it and discuss it with everybody. I do remember that there's a large content warning for Orientalism in this book, so definitely keep that in mind. Like there are some things that yeah, there's some not great stuff in here as well, but I do remember getting some things out of this story, so very excited to return to that. Okay, I think those are all of the updates and exciting news things that I have. Comment down below and let me know if you are participating in any of these. We would love to have you. I'm very excited about all of these things. Very excited and grateful to be invited as a guest on some of these things. And of course we have our next round of classics picks that are going to be great. And yeah, just let me know if you are joining in for any of these things or multiple. That would be great as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!